Welcome to another episode of Slave Sermons. Maybe various things pertaining to celebrities are indicating that people are starting to question their beliefs in a particular brand of faith. The few celebrities that come to mind are Aaron Rodgers, for example. Mr. Rodgers, who supports hospitals for children and foundations that help feed America, among many other charitable causes, shows us that irrespective of how good or philanthropic a person is, their religious beliefs matter the most to a lot of religiously involved people, including his family, who are, as they call it, dismayed by how his comments on religion affected them. It just goes to show you that religious belief is severely flawed in the sense that what you believe is greater than what you do. It's surprising that we don't even recognize the insanity of that. Aaron Rodgers stated that religion can divide people and that religion can be a crutch, amongst other things. So, where did he lie? His family is outraged because they say he wasn't raised to think that way. And, I wonder how many of us can relate to that. No, religion doesn't need you to think, it needs you to believe. It's fallacious to believe that you must keep the faith that you grew up believing. So, Aaron, we're not going to have anything else to do with you unless you believe in the things that we do. You see how insane that is? I'm sure that the parents of the sick children Aaron Rodgers is supporting don't give a damn about what he believes as long as he's supporting their children. Then there's this whole Prince and Meghan Markle thing. The couple has decided to separate themselves from the so-called royal monarchy. Now, I normally don't allow my attention to go in the direction of British matters, but I actually think it's a good idea and it's cool, pretty cool what they're doing. Maybe they, like a lot of people, are just fed up with this whole white supremacy thing. In fact, racism, white supremacy, and Christianity are one and the same. I know that a lot of people would take umbrage to that, but facts are facts, whether you believe them or not. It was the notions of a supreme being that led to white supremacy that ultimately led to racism. There is a fine, almost invisible line between believing in a supreme being and believing in supreme human beings. And I'm certain that the British monarchs see themselves as a group of special people who are somehow created more superior than the rest of the billions of people in the world. There's, of course, much more to how these notions bled into the mindset of colonial America, and it's, of course, beyond the scope of this slave sermon episode. But if you're interested in knowing more, please watch my film, Holy Hierarchy, The Religious Roots of Racism in America, on Amazon Prime Video. Anyway, it's good to know that people seeing themselves as superior and more royal than others is a rather idiotic notion. Again, the young people are showing their parents not only how primitive their beliefs are, but also they're highlighting the fallacy of tradition. Then we have Mr. Kanye West. Now, we've clearly seen throughout the years his level of mental instability. After he raised eyebrows of a lot of people by pandering to Donald Trump, he's now on this religious or so-called spiritual quest, and he's turning back time by bringing people back to Jesus, really back to him, but he's under the guise of bringing people to so-called Jesus. It's really hard to watch the relationship between Kanye West and Joel Osteen and take them seriously. And what's even more laughable is that this joint venture between the two of them is cloaked in a storybook mythological figure we call Jesus, who in reality is just a retelling of other pre-existing myths and legends. The Hollywood, theatrical, media, and profit-driven covering of these two individuals is blatantly obvious to those who are not blinded by the whole godly smokescreen. Anyone paying attention will not only see the game going on, but also the absurdity that's inherent in religious belief. You know, sometimes the only way to see something clearly is to watch it from a distance. Joel Osteen, who's really just a motivational speaker using the Bible as a pretext to reach more people, has teamed up with Kanye West, obviously, because of his celebrity status and his ability to put even more cash in his pocket.
Osteen is no stranger to public backlash himself, criticized in 2017 for not opening his church doors to Texans displaced by Hurricane Harvey.
So, I don't know, maybe this fiasco will have people questioning their religious faith. Then we have the very tragic and sad event of Kobe Bryant and 8 other human beings in that terrible helicopter crash. Mr. Bryant had just attended Mass, prayed, shook hands with his priest, and had so-called holy water sprinkled on his head before his life was cut short. And many people are asking why this happened. Why Kobe? Why would a loving God allow this to happen? Well, see, that's just it. See, maybe this will show how a loving God has nothing to do with our helicopter, plane, boat, or car crashes. The boss of our lives are naturally embedded within the laws of the universe. The laws of gravity, the laws of motion, water, the laws of heat, etc., are impartial and lack any degree of any type of personality. Nature and the natural laws of physics don't care who you are, what you are, or how much or how little you have. If you violate the natural laws of physics, there will be consequences, and sometimes those consequences will be fatal. If you survive a car crash, for instance, it's not that a loving God blessed you. It has nothing to do with that.
It's the worst thing that has ever happened to me. I don't wish it on anyone. It was a terrible experience, a near-death experience. But God brought me out alive.
It has to do with scientific variables, like the side of the vehicle you may have been on, the rate of speed you were going, the degree and the angle of the impact, etc. So, no, God bless you. So, just get over yourself. We should all realize that our beliefs really don't mean a damn thing. It's about what we do. Our deeds are what matter mostly. Everyone, Christians, Muslims, and other religious believers, want to protect their particular belief system regardless of how erroneous it may be. Instead of striving to believe in something, we should strive to know things. Belief has no authority, regardless of how strong our faith is. Our universe is governed by unloving laws which lack a personality. The law of relativity, the law of polarity, of cause and effect, the law of attraction and compensation, etc., are always at work whether you know it or believe it. There's a series, I think it's entitled The Forces of Nature. And each episode begins by saying that the universe is beautiful to behold, but it's even more beautiful to know. I like that. You see, because it's more powerful and beneficial to your survival to know how to swim than to have faith that you can walk on water. Humans walking on water goes against the laws of buoyancy. We need to invent devices that follow the laws of physics that will allow us to walk on water and will allow us to fly. Human beings awakening from the dead, with bones being made flesh, or walking on water, or going to heaven or hell, or living after death, playing with predatory animals, are unnatural, and it goes against the laws of physics and nature. And that's what religion does. It puts us in the realm of fantasy, which lead to biased beliefs, which create division and perverts our brains. You know, if a Baptist, a Methodist, a Jew, a Seventh-day Adventist, a Jehovah's Witness, a Pentecostal, or a Catholic, or a Muslim jump from a building, trust me, they would all fall at the same rate, regardless of what they believe. Why? Because the laws of gravity are in control and not their beliefs. We tend to think that we're so high tech and see the past as something backwards or primitive. But if you believe there's a guy watching a woman somewhere in Sweden on the bus, a man in Ghana at the gas station, a couple in China having sex, a basketball player in San Francisco shooting a ball, a murder in London about to happen, etc. And there's a guy watching all of them and the rest of us 8 billion people doing our thing at the same time. How backwards and Stone Age do you think that is? When tragic things happen to people, and people want to know why a loving God would allow such things to happen, it only demonstrates a lack of knowledge of how their God operates. The first thing that we must know is that this God that you believe in is simply a character in your book. And his character is one that so-called blesses and bestows people and anoints people and provides for people, but not one who prevents things from happening. So to justify this apparent God defect, believers are quick to point out that this so-called God has a plan for them. Something's brewing that they just don't know about. He has a master plan. Really? You see, a real God would have caught the helicopter or the airplane or the car before it crashed and killed anyone. A real God or superhero like Superman can actually stop bullets. What good is your God if he can't stop bullets? We pray and appeal to this God after the hurricane caused lives to be lost and caused unimaginable damage to homes and businesses. But a real God would have just prevented the hurricane from happening in the first place. Where was this loving God in the prevention of American chattel slavery that lasted hundreds of years? Couldn't this God have just made the good ship Jesus, as it was called, sink into the ocean? A God would definitely serve humanity best by working in the realm of prevention. The reason why this one doesn't is because this God is an invisible product. So it's time to take your God and your belief off the do not question list, like Aaron Rodgers and so many others have done, and decide to think as opposed to believe.